Ladies and gentlemen, what's good, y'all? It's Chris Gary here, and I'm doing this little interview here for Focus Fights and the MMA Opinion. This little interview I'm going to be doing here is with Saginaw, Michigan native, 4-1 MMA fighter so far, and judo expert Tim Eschtruth, who will be fighting Ursin Batman Yamamoto at RIZIN 16 in exactly 3 weeks' time from the Kobe World Memorial Hall in Kobe, Hyogo, Japan. Now, even though I don't really know much about him, I will admit, I'll be the first to say I don't know anything about him other than the fact that he's from Michigan. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that he trains out of Scorpion Fighting Systems in Fowlerville, Michigan, USA, which homes the same training camp as former XFC International star James the Phenom Gray and current UFC fighter Amanda Bobby Cooper, also a former Ultimate Fighter finalist. But still though, Tim Eschtruth is coming into this fight with the 2-4 nephew of the late, great Norifumi Kid Yamamoto, off the back of a 4-1 record, and if I'm not mistaken, winning 3 of his last 4. But without further ado, I'ma just go ahead and let a more formal introduction for Mr. Eschtruth happen, and then we're gonna get right to the interview.
5 feet 6 inches tall and 135 pounds. Representing Scorpion Fighting Systems and Cheat Code Taekwondo fighting out of Saginaw, Michigan, Tim, you can't handle the truth as true.
Hello, is this Timothy, you can't handle the truth as true? Oh, okay.
I cannot hear you.
Alright.
So you walk somewhere else? I'm at one of the gyms that I train at. Give me 1 second to walk over just a little bit.
Okay.
Not much. Let's see if anybody's in this room back here. Alright, that's a little bit quieter.
Okay, is this Timothy, you can't handle the truth, Eschtruth?
Correct.
And you know what, I find it funny that your nickname is basically based off a movie quote, A Few Good Men, 1994.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know what to call myself. Because like everybody else, it's like the Predator, the Assassin, something weird, and I didn't know what to call myself. So I just sat there and put a post out there. I was like, okay, guys, I got to come up with a cool nickname that we haven't heard before. One of my buddies is like, you can't handle the truth. I'm like, I like that. I like it.
You know what, Tim, I think I find it funny because there was another fighter who had a very unique nickname, and the late Dom I Hate You So Much O'Grady, because he fought, he fought in the Bluegrass States, and he fought a few times in Japan as well, and to be quite honest, I think we need more unique nicknames in the sport of MMA, because you see way too many damn bulldogs and all these other types of nicknames. I mean, there can only be one Spider, and that's Anderson Silva. There can only be one Mauler and Alexander Gustafsson. There's way too many people, male and female, trying to be all these nicknames. Why can't you just be unique, like yourself?
Exactly. Yep. That's the way it is. Nobody can think for themselves. They just got to copycat.
Exactly. Now, Mr. Eschtruth, I know that you are going into this upcoming fight at RIZIN 16. I mean, first of all, the main question I want to ask is, how did you get your start into MMA? I know that you are a judo black belt, but what turned you on to MMA?
Well, at first, I thought it was stupid. I'll be 100% honest with you. You know, watching some of the first couple of UFCs, you're like, what is this? This is ridiculous. I might as well go turn on some WWE, which I do like WWE, but that's what it reminded me of. And then one of my friends, I was teaching judo, and I was starting to wanting to open up my own gym, and she's like, well, how do you know your judo's any good? Well, it's like, well, I went over here, I went over here. And she's like, well, how does it do in a real fight? Oh, that's a real good question, because I don't fight. I've never gotten to fights in high school, never fought outside of high school. So it was kind of like that. Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I wonder how well I would do. And then I got a fight up north, up in Michigan, for Big John MMA, and I got hooked.
I can understand that.
It was like my first time ever. Yeah, my first time ever fighting. There was like 2,000 people there, and I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. This is, you know, and then got hooked, and then just started evolving and wanting to get better and better, and it's a good way to even promote my judo, because everything that I teach, I only teach the stuff that's useful, and you can see the same stuff I use in a judo tournament, at a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament, and you'll see it in the cage. I use all those things that I teach and stuff, and you can see that, hey, it actually works. You know, because you see it. Like, Phone Seinagi that I do it in judo, I do in jiu-jitsu. I did it my last fight that I had. I did it in the cage.
And I know that you fought for promotions like Warrior Extreme Cage Fighting and King of the Cage, which has been around for the last 20 years.
Yep. WXC is one of my favorite promotions here in Michigan. I get treated very good over here.
I mean, I can understand.
And I even got, for WXC, I got Fight of the Year in 2017. Not one of my best performances, but it still got me Fight of the Year. I won, but but it was good though. I mean, I was proud of myself because it showed a lot of heart.
I can understand that. Now, the next question I want to ask is, you train out of Scorpion Fighting System in Fowlerville, Michigan. Now, for those of you guys that don't really know much about it, it's the same fight camp that honed the career of James the Phenom Gray, a former fighter for XFC International, and the current training camp of Amanda Bobby Cooper, who's currently in the UFC, despite what her record may think. But has training with those two helped you hone your crafts for not only this upcoming fight against Ersin Yamamoto, but for a potential career in MMA should you choose to follow it?
Yeah, I mean, this is, in my opinion, even in a lot here in Michigan, this is one of the best gyms to be going to. So, hands down, it's like every time I walk in here, I get a little bit better. You know, they have some of the best coaching staff, and the coaches all, they actually care about you. It's not always about money. It's all about how to make you better, and they'll go way out of their way to help you to get to where you need to be in life. And that's why I stuck it out here.
I can understand that. And when it comes down to Gray and Bobby specifically, they fought internationally, as I mentioned, especially with James Gray fighting 4 times in Brazil. I mean, has that basically given you a preview of fighting in Japan? And another question I want to ask, and this is from Teep to the Junk. You're going to be fighting in the RIZIN Fighting Federation on June 2nd in Kobe, Hyogo, Japan. Have you modified your skill set in preparation for, soccer kicks and knees to the head and stuff like that?
A little bit. Sometimes it's kind of hard because, one of my training partners that I do a lot with, I try to do what I can, but he's making his debut for Bellator this week. So I've been training with.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah. So I've been trying to at least show the knee, not actually hit my training partner with it, but actually show it. So I've been trying to do it as much as I could, but I'm not exactly 100% worried about all that. I already know the rule set, and I've been doing this stuff for a long time, so I can tell myself to go ahead and just do it. I don't, and it's not one of those going to be a huge hesitation. It's oh, boom, I can do it.
I can understand that. when it comes down to your opponent, Ursin Batman Yamamoto, he is a world-class amateur wrestling standout. His mother is a world-class amateur wrestling standout, and his family, including the late great Norifumi Kid Yamamoto, they're all wrestling standouts. Have you looked up any tape on him, and have you studied his moves?
I've watched a lot of his stuff already. Anytime I'm going into a fight, I try to watch a lot, but I also got to try to not anticipate too much of that, because he might pull out a trick that you haven't seen before. So I always try to prepare for what I've seen and then the stuff that I haven't seen. So, that way I'm well-rounded. Expect the unexpected.
I can understand that, especially seeing the fact that even though your opponent is 2-4, he's still going to come in with a bit of an experience advantage. Even though, when it comes down to him, he still has a losing record. But you can't take that lightly.
No. I train just like if he was a world champion. And that's what I know what he wants to do. He's out there to stop me from my dream, so I gotta stop him from his.
Exactly. A few more things I want to ask. I know you say that you are like a modern-day samurai, and your judo techniques have helped you a lot. But do you think that when it comes down to judo, do you think that it can probably help somebody live their life to the fullest?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you never know where it might take you, and it might open a new door for you. So with having the judo and stuff, it's definitely huge. Example, like my daughter, her having that judo background has opened up a lot of doors for her and aspects like that. It's helped her with her wrestling, because she wrestles, and she does a lot of the Greco, which is very similar to judo. So that's opened up her... my girlfriend, it's helped her out. Other students that I've had, it's opened up doors for them. They've gone and used it. So it's all based upon how you use it and who your instructor is.
I see. And it all basically depends on how you actually learn from that stuff as well.
Exactly.
Another question I want to ask is, I don't know if you know this or not, but the state of Michigan has produced 3 RIZIN Fighting Federation veterans. There's you, there's Darren Cruikshank, and there's Puma star Sheena Brandenburg. Now, do you think, and I don't know if California probably has more RIZIN veterans, but do you think that this RIZIN exposure is helping putting Michigan MMA on the map?
Oh, it's helping huge. Especially for me, I've had so many people contact me, get a hold of me, check out my Facebook, watch more of my YouTube videos and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to, because Michigan is basically, we're only known for really our wrestling. It's not really our martial arts that much. So this exposure is going to help put us back on the map. It says, hey, we actually got people. I mean, we got a couple guys in the UFC. Probably like Cody Stamen's probably the best one that we've had lately, because Kershank was in the UFC. But, like Cody Stamen, obviously, he's one of the top 135ers in the UFC. So I think with this, it's going to say, hey, we got other potential and other venues.
I can understand that. And it's not so much when it comes down to Japanese MMA, and especially in RIZIN, it's not so much if you win, it's more like if you fight hard, you learn. Because they are really big over there when it comes down to the prospect of if you fight worth the damn, you'll get bought back. And I think that's what Cruikshank has done, even though, there has been some incidents that have happened with him recently.
Yeah. And that's what, like I said, it comes down to is what kind of show you put on. They want the guys who are going to put on a good fight and guys who are going to draw attention. So, and that's what I feel that I do. I have a very well-rounded game, and I feel that me going on there to RIZIN is going to bring me back.
I can understand that. And one more question I want to ask is, and I know that you're going to probably get this question from the RIZIN commentary crew, Frank Trigg and Showdown Joe Ferraro, If you were not involved in martial arts, what would you be doing as a profession?
Teacher. I've always enjoyed that. I mean, I teach already martial arts, but it's always been what I've done. Like, God's always put me in one of those positions to where I was always teaching. Mm-hmm. So, I worked at a summer camp for 9 years. I've been heavily involved with youth groups. It's just really been my calling, is really just teaching, and I love teaching.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. I mean, because when it comes down to teaching, you're still just empowering young minds to think on the right path instead of just, steering them down choices of either drugs and alcohol or, trying to be like every cookie-cutter patient rock star artist. I mean, it's hard for me to... It's hard for me to even think about what I'm trying to say because you just bought that with so much thought, because when it comes down to being a teacher, especially with what you're doing now, being a judo instructor and a world-class judo practitioner, all you're doing is empowering young minds, and that's pretty damn cool, Mr. Eschtruth. Yep.
Thank you. I take pride in that. It's nice when you see your students go off and do something really good with their lives and become something great. That's really what it comes down to, is seeing them, taking the skills that you've given them. So, and like you were saying, when they can find other avenues besides, like the drugs and the alcohol and whatever, it's what I always tell people, it's a good hobby to be in and to have. To be doing the martial arts or something else that, it keeps you off, the kids off the streets. It keeps, even as an adult, keeps us out of doing something stupid. So that way we're making smart choices.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. Now, when it comes down to RIZIN 16, you're going to be fighting in front of an entirely different audience and obviously halfway around the damn world, whereas people in Michigan will probably have to stay up till like 2 or 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time just to see you. But do you have a message that you want to send to your fans who are going to be starving up overnight on June 2nd just to see you fight?
I guess the message for them is thank you, really. I guess that's the thing is thank you for this, sticking with me on this ride, and this ride's only going to, get started. It's going to get a lot better as we go.
Mm-hmm. And to the fans who have not heard of you before, who think that you're going to be, in a wrestling term, jobbing out to Yamamoto, what's the message do you have for the RIZIN fans who are trying to doubt you right now?
I'm going to shock you. I'm going to shock you.
Well,
I'm not a one-trick pony.
I mean, that's about as clear of an answer as we can get. I mean, I just can't wait to see the fight happen between you and Yamamoto, because I think that even though Yamamoto has an under 500 record and you have an over 500 record, I think when it comes down to the fight that you two will have, I think sparks will fly in that fight.
That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a good fight than an easy, don't get me wrong, a cakewalk's nice, but I want a good fight. Warriors deserve warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I feel that I'm getting.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're about to go ahead and go back to your training, but if you can, please give us a way of how to contact you and how to connect with you on social media.
You can get a hold of me through, obviously, Facebook. My normal page is Tim Eschtruth, ESCHTRUTH. And then my fan page is Timothy Eschtruth. And then my Instagram is TA, then my last name. So you can follow me on those. And, I'm glad and thankful for you guys. Appreciate you, the fans. So.
Hey, you're welcome anytime, man. And I hope that you come back to Fowlerville, Michigan with a big W the weekend after RIZIN 16.
Well, that is the plan.
But other than that, Mr. Eschtruth, thank you very much for this interview. I mean, I'm trying to break my way into the podcast world myself, and, your interview, hopefully it'll change some lives, man. If not, make them remember who you are, because no matter if you win or lose this fight, it's all about putting in the fighting spirit, and You know, if you impress during this fight, you're going to open up a lot of people's eyes. I guarantee you.
That's what I want to do. You know, shock the world, show everybody what I got, where I'm from, and even, like I said, to give people hopes that, because I come from a very small town. I think, like, my senior year class, there was only like 40-something out of us. So coming from a small town shows, hey, small people, as long as you dream big, you can achieve those dreams.
Damn right. I mean, I come from that same type of environment, man. Small town where barely anybody makes it out. So, yeah. It just basically gives us little small town boys a lot of big city dreams.
Oh, exactly. You know, like my goal, well, my dream really is, after all of this, is I want somebody to want to write about me, like to write a report where they're like, hey, write about somebody famous, and they're like, I'm going to write about the Tim Eschtruth guy. That's what I want to write about.
Mm-hmm. And
that is my goal.
Especially if you hit it off big in RIZIN, or even go to the UFC or Bellator, definitely people will be talking about you.
Exactly.
But other than that, Mr. Eschtruth, thanks for the interview. I really enjoyed this time talking with you, and I look forward to your fight against Ersin Batman Yamamoto on June 2nd.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir. Anytime.
Have a good day.
You too, sir. Well, that's my interview with Mr. You Can't Handle the Truth, Timothy Eschtruth. And if he does well when it comes down to his fight against Ersin Batman Yamamoto on the morning of June the 2nd, if you haven't checked out the Fight TV fight calendar or ordered it, do so now, pre-order it now, because I think that even though their records might not be even, this fight sure will be. And if Mr. Eschtruth wins this fight, or even if he impresses the crowd, as in shows his fighting spirit, shows that judo technique that he's been working on for most of his life, if not all of his life, and all that he's trained up at Scorpion Fighting System in Fowlerville, Michigan, then I'm pretty sure he is going to mean something to a lot of people down the road. And with that, that concludes my interview for Focus Fights and the MMA Opinion. If you have a question or comment concerning this interview, or if you just want to, give us a thumbs up and all that jazz, check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/FocusFights. On Facebook, check out the respective pages, facebook.com/TheMMAOpinion and facebook.com/FocusFights. And also, follow Focus Fights on Twitter at Focus Fights, FOCUSFIGHTS. But until then, this has been the Chillmeister Chris Gary on Twitter at ChrisGary92, saying, peace my peoples in one love world, until the RIZIN 16 review for the We Are RIZIN podcast. I thank you for being in my presence, and I thank you all for enjoying this space. Later.